welcome to day 2. This is the second day of theory, and it's the most fun day. It's the most exciting day because you get to learn the rest of the things that we need to learn. You'll also have a lot more activities today. We'll have a lot more games today and a lot more fun. I've got a chocky surprise for you today. Like, yeah, right? We've got chocky surprises, we've got koala surprises, we've got kangaroo surprises. So it's all happening today. We've also got, by the end of today, you're going to know what skits, what team you're on, and what class you need to prepare for. So you'll know that by the end of today. By about 4:30 today, that's when I'll distribute out to you your actual lessons. But don't worry about that now, okay? Because that's way in the afternoon and we don't worry about that now. What we're going to finish today, though, are the rest of the what? M's, that's right, 2 more M's. We've got 2 more M's left. Tomorrow we'll be doing skits, okay? We'll be doing skits all day. And then Thursday and Friday we'll be doing your teaching. Like I said, don't worry about that now because I'll explain how all that's going to work later on. During probably Thursday or perhaps Friday, we'll take a little break from teaching and we'll just learn the rest that you need to learn about communicating effectively to pastors. So today we finish how to make you a better communicator, but on Thursday or Friday we're just going to go over some ways where it's easier to communicate to the pastors back in your country, because I don't know what it's like for you in your country, but in Australia, pastors are very busy people and they often don't have time to have meetings all day. So it's very hard to actually speak to them. But you need to be able to speak to pastors and church leaders to tell them what EE is about and to promote EE in local churches around. So we will cover that, but that won't be covered today. Today, we're going to focus on chocky surprises. We're going to focus on the rest of the M's. So before we go into it though, let's just pray, shall we? Father, this is the day that you have made and we will rejoice in it. Thank you for bringing us back again today. Father, we think again of those that are just not feeling well and we ask that you would heal them, put your healing hand upon them. Lord, we're your servants. We ask that you have your will in our lives. Help us to remain focused and help us to learn today so that we are better today than we were yesterday. In Jesus' name, amen. Are you excited? Yeah, excited as you can be early in the morning, right? What is the first thing that we do after a break? Review, revise, exactly. So we're going to revise what we learned yesterday. And remember, it's quick, it's fun, and everybody gets involved. So let's start. What does this represent? That's it, nice and loud, everybody. Just to let you know, we are videoing, and I've got a microphone here, which is fine because the cameras can hear me clearly. They can't hear you clearly. So you do have to speak up, which is good anyway because we're going to learn today how to use more of our voice and volume anyway. But if you can just be louder and clearer, it really helps for these cameras to pick up information. From time to time as well, I might just look at the camera and start talking at the camera for our school people. Don't worry about that. It's just like a little pause because I also have to cater for that as well, okay? So just in case though they might use this footage, how about on the count of 3, we just all turn around to the cameras and just give them a bit of a wave, okay? Just to let them know that we're thinking of them and that we think it's a great thing for them to do theological studies and to learn what you're going to be learning as well. How about we do that? So on the count of 3, we just turn back and we just give them a nice big wave. Look at that camera right there. Just give them a nice big wave. How does that sound? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi! That's good, and they can edit that and make that all special later on. Thank you, everybody. So we're just going to actually speak a little bit louder today. So what does this represent? Learning. Nice, that's good. And what's at the very top? Lecture. What's the second one? Reading. What's at the very bottom? Good, and what's in the middle? Audio, demonstration. Okay. What's the second on the learning pyramid? No, second from the bottom. Practice by doing. Okay, so the very bottom is teaching others, which is what you're going to be doing. And then the next one up there is practice by doing. So you'll be doing that as well. So you're at the best part of the learning pyramid to be able to learn. Sounds good, right? All right. What are the two ways that we communicate to one another? Verbal and non-verbal. Very well. And what's the one we use the most amount of time? Non-verbal. Non-verbal. How much of that do we 90%. Well done. 90% of all our communication is non-verbal. I'm very impressed. You're doing very well. When I do this, what does this represent? 3 M's. Well done, the 3 M's. Now, which was the M that we learnt about yesterday? Matter. Matter, exactly. And matter is what? The things we say. It's words, yeah? What else is it? It's information, it's illustrations. Is it stories? What is the best type of stories to be telling? Personal stories. Should we define words that are hard to understand when we're teaching? Yes, we need to define harder words. We have 2 more M's. What's the second M? Manner. Manner, that's right. And we learnt that we communicate verbally and non-verbally. Manner, what's that closest to in regards to verbal and non-verbal? Non-verbal, that's good. That was a bit more tricky, isn't it? Manner, which is what we're about to learn, is very similar to non-verbal. And if non-verbal is 90% of what we communicate, it means that this next section that we're going to do is very important, isn't it? Because really this next section, the manner section, is 90% of how you communicate. So it's a very important section. Sound good? Yes. What's the very last M? Method. That's right, it's method. And we're going to learn that later today. Well done, team. That is very good reviewing. I think you're ready to go next, don't you think? I think it's ready for a bit of koala time. Do you think it's a bit of koala time? We're ready for koala time? Well, you did this yesterday, so this won't be new to you. We need to get out our origami sheets, our 3M sheets that you got folded yesterday. Well done. Everybody show them to me. Show them to me, that's good. Yep, show the teacher that you've got them. This helps the teacher actually know that you've got them with you. All right, good. Nice, pop them down. Now, who can guess what we're going to do next? We're going to brainstorm. We are going to have a think about what manner is. Now, we have looked at, there we go, this little baby doesn't want to work for me. We looked at matter yesterday, and now we're looking at manner. And manner is very similar to non-verbal. We're going to do the same thing now as we did yesterday. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and you're just going to write down what you think manner is. All the different things we're going to brainstorm, just like yesterday. Then we're going to go to the board, we're going to write them down, and we're going to discuss them. You've got 5 minutes now to write down what you think manner is.
There is a break for 5 minutes while students write.
All right, team. Now this is a tip for you. As a teacher, I'll be at the front and I'm watching you do your work, and you're non-verbally communicating to me even when you're writing. When you start, as a teacher, when you start to hear the students talk, you know that they've probably finished their work. You know, and when I look at you and everybody's still with their heads down and writing, that tells me that you actually need a little bit more time. So be aware of that as a teacher. And I'll always say to you, okay, about a minute left. And I might give you more than a minute. But I always need to let the student know that they have to now quickly rush because they're getting toward the end of their time. So as a good teacher, you'll tell them how much time that they get. So I'll say, you've got 5 minutes. And then I let you do your thing. And then I just watch you and see how you're going. And then when I think we need to start to end it, I'll then give you a warning close to that end time. You need to keep that in mind for when you're doing your teaching, because you will give your students practice time. They're going to go away and they're going to practice their skits and they're going to practice the presentation with their friend, and you need to be able to give them a time limit as well. But if you just say go and practice and you don't give them a time limit and you don't keep them on time, then they'll be tempted to, they'll start talking to their partner first. Oh, okay, we're going to do this, and what did you do last night? And before they know it, time has gotten the best of them. So you need to always let them know how much time they have with things, because as a teacher, you're in control of the time schedule, and you need to make sure that that time schedule stays together. So that's a tip for you when it comes to you doing the teaching Thursday, Friday, and more importantly, in week 3, in week 5, and when you go back home and you need to do it as well. Now we know what we're going to do next, don't we? We're going to start, it's koala time, put it this way, it's koala time, all right? You just need to give me one of the things that you have written down. We're going to write it on the board. Just like yesterday, I'm sure that some of the things we write down will be in the manner column. Some of the things we write down, though, will probably want to be in a different column. So we're going to do the same mind renovation as we did yesterday. Do you remember that? So it's time now to start throwing out those answers. Are you ready? All right, who wants a... Okay. I don't have enough koala bears for people to get more than one. So I'm sorry, if you've already got a koala bear, you need to resist and not go for another koala bear. So for those that don't have koala bears and who would like a koala, give me an answer. Sound. Good on you, Tippy. There you go. Sound. Next. Who's next? Eye contact. You don't have a koala bear? Good stuff. Ooh, ooh. Well, that koala bear just died, didn't it? There we go. Here we go. Here's another koala. Oh, sorry, Jessie. There you go. I don't even remember what you said. Eye contact. Good. Anger. Who said anger? All right. Hey, Mumba, would you like to do my throwing for me? We're going to have the rugby player over here. I think he's much better at throwing koala bears than I am. All right. It's for people that don't have koala bears, remember? Who threw out, who said sleeping? All right, one's over there to Colin. Information over here. Now, information, David. Wait a minute, before we write information down, does this ring alarm bells? All right. Okay, so you're telling me, yes, this rings alarm bells. Why does this ring alarm bells? Correct. David, this goes in matter. We covered this yesterday in matter, but we're going to put it there. All right, who's next? Over here. Responding. Koala bear. All right, over at the... You've already got a bear. Hand down, hand down. If you've got a bear, hand down, hand down. Cassandra. Position. Okay, Alice. Action. Who said practicing? Over here, practicing. Oh, look at all of you. You're just so keen and eager. I don't know if it's because you love the class so much or you just want a koala bear. It's hard to tell. Kata. Speed. And hand signs. Hand signs. Gestures. One for Graham over here. All of these people don't have a koala bear. One for Jessie. Whipping. Whipping. You like whipping. Did you give me a whipping yesterday? We've got to get Jessie to do the Garcia skit or the Shamil skit because she's going to be the whipper, I think. All right. No more koala bears now. But you will get another chance, okay? We will get another chance for koala bears. But we're going to now start. I think Cassandra's already given us one. So we're going to start at Chris and we're going to go around and you're just going to shout out one of your answers to me. Just like yesterday, we go fast, okay? We're going to pick up the speed today because we're in that rhythm and we've been working. So we're going to pick up the speed and you're going to give me one of your manner. Does that make sense? All right, Chris, start it off. Attire. Next. Smiling. Keep them coming. We're gonna go around. We're going to go around, my friend. I'll get to you in a minute. Eating. You just want a chocky surprise, don't you? Keep them coming.
Gripping lecture. Gripping lecture.
Okay, yep. Sketch? Was that sketch?
Sketch.
A sketch.
Facial expression.
Yep, who's next? We're going to start, Fred?
Mannerisms.
Mannerisms, that's a good word. Keep them going, faster. Voice, I'm just going to put voice. Politely.
Straightforward.
Next. Sorry, I couldn't. Feelings. This is squeaking, and I can't hear you as well. Nice and loud, everyone, so I can hear you with my ears. You can't. Clapping. Quick, we need to go quicker. Participation. Is that what you said? Kind. All right, faster. Faster. Keep on going, faster, friends. Sorry? Tone, yep. Shouting. Cursing. Dancing. Where are we up to? Posture. Keep on going. Sorry? Crying. There's that word again, isn't it? We used that yesterday. I've been thinking about that all night, do you know? I've been thinking about what column to put pronunciation in all night. And I do think it still stays in matter, but I think it could almost have 1 foot in the matador and 1 foot in the manador. I think we're happy to put it there, do you think? It can live in the middle. I think it can live on both sides. Next. Sorry? Shh, help me out. Spell it for me. Threaten. Are you going to threaten me? Laughing. Talking. Next. Sad. Next. Sorry? Mystery? Whisper, sorry. Whisper, yes? You've already got those? They have already said all of yours. There you go. That's what happens when you get to the end. Volume. Contextualize. I'm going to put context. Wow, well done, team. You're doing well. Again, just like yesterday, some of these things don't belong here. Some of them do. However, you're doing better than yesterday, because yesterday when we did this, a lot of them didn't belong here. Whereas with this one, most of them probably fit here. So what that tells me is that your brain is starting to realign with definitions and starting to understand better what we're actually learning, which is the point of what we're doing. So we're starting to renovate your mind. We're making a mess, but now we're starting to make it look beautiful, yeah? We're adding all those little finishing touches that really add style. And that's good to see, because it's telling me that you are picking up this information and that you are learning. Are you ready to find out what the real answers are? Yes? Let's do it. Now remember, keep me on time. If I'm going over time, how do I stop? Yeah, all right. You let me know, Joe, you're speaking over time, because I don't want to go into lunch and into all those other times. We're going to, for now, pull this away and we'll come back and revisit it afterward. Let the fun begin. You'll have to excuse my voice. It keeps on cutting out on me because of the air conditioning, so my throat is getting very dry. But that is a normal thing. It's a normal thing for your throat to get dry. And it's good that you're actually seeing it happen to me, because when it happens to you, you don't have to get nervous. You don't have to get upset. Just have water or whatever works for you, okay? Whatever works for you. I've got a whole stack of different type of lollies and sweets to help my throat. It's a natural reaction. It's going to happen to you sometime along the way. Don't feel bad when it happens, and you don't have to feel embarrassed. It's just normal and it's natural. You take a sip whenever you need a sip, and then you just continue on. Wherever there's air conditioning, chances are your throat will always be drier, because the air conditioning dries out the actual air. Let's now have some fun though. What manner is voice? It is everything to do with your voice, okay? And your volume. Your volume. Volume is how loudly or softly you speak. Now, my friends, what I've noticed in this class is when I ask you questions, many of you at your table answer very gently. And I know for some of you that's a very cultural thing. In your culture, you're told to not speak too loud because it can be rude. And I understand that. But when you're teaching and when you're communicating, it's no longer about being in a culture, it's simply about being heard. Because if somebody can't hear you, they're not going to remember. And why do we learn good communication skills? Say that again. To be remembered. So if people cannot hear us, they won't remember us. Now, as a speaking teacher, I go to many different speaking competitions, and I'm a judge, and that judge is called an adjudicator. That's the name of the judge. And I have to listen to them and then mark them and then give a winner. Where does an adjudicator sit?
The back.
Where?
The back.
At the back. Do we sit anywhere else? Should we sit anywhere else? Come on, friends. It's okay to answer. We're just talking together here. Where? At the front? At about here, you think? The front? At the back? Sit with the audience. So we've got about 3 answers here. Sit at the back, sit at the front, and sit amongst the audience. Did you want to add anything else? It's okay, you can talk. We're talking together. That's good? That's about it? All right. Now, I have to judge how good they are. In order to judge, I need to know that their volume is loud enough, right? I need to be able to test them that they are speaking loud enough so that everybody can hear them. So where would I sit to be able to test that? At the back, friends, at the back. Many people think it's the front because the adjudicator's special and they should get the front centre position because that's what we do at church, yeah? We put all the special people at the front. No. I need to test that I can hear them, and the only way I can judge that properly is to sit at the back. So, have a look at this room and how it's positioned. Where would I sit in this room if I was going to judge somebody standing here? Where? Good. You know where I sit? I pretend that there is another row behind the very back row. Okay? So I would sit probably where Deborah is because I need to test that I can hear them well, not that I have to strain to hear them. So if I can hear them well, if there's another table behind, it means that the people at front, you don't have any problem hearing me, and it's nice and clear. That means that when you're doing your teaching, that's where I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit back there. And if I can't hear you, or you as a class can't hear who's teaching here, how can you non-verbally tell them that you can't hear them? Good. Have a look at Jesse and Roy. Do that again. Do that again. Do that again, yeah? Can you see that? Everybody do this. Yeah. That's an international sign, okay? For I can't hear you. I can't hear you very well. And so you're going to use that to help each other, okay? Because remember, we're here as a team to help each other. And if you can't hear a teacher at the front, you need to be sitting there and giving them signs that you can't hear them. Because if you can't hear somebody, all of their matter, the words they say, the stories they tell, the information, doesn't matter, does it? Makes no significance if you can't hear somebody actually speaking. So volume is very important. It is very important. And it's sometimes preachers or speakers, they'll be too quiet because they don't want to feel like they're shouting. But then they might also be very, very loud. Have you ever heard a preacher and he's just screaming the whole time? Oh, I love Jesus. Oh, Jesus saves me. You've got to be saved. And they're screaming the whole time. What volume do you need to be when you are communicating? Think about it. All right, that's good. Not too loud, not too soft. Moderate. You need to be loud enough for the very back person to hear you, okay? And that will change based on the room size and whereabouts that you are, won't it? If it starts to rain, I'm going to have to speak louder. So I can't say to you, I can't give you one magic figure of how loud you're supposed to be. That's something as a teacher and a communicator you have to judge. This room is good because it echoes, but because it echoes, everything echoes. That echoes as well. And if all of you push your chairs out at the same time, you'll hear nothing I say because it's really, really, really loud. And yesterday when I got you to say your names, I didn't want you to stand up because that would mean 38 chairs would go out and in and make a very, very big noise. So you need to be loud enough for the back person to hear you, but don't scream the whole time. You need to also modulate your volume for different things. And we're going to see how that works later on as well. I'll show you how that works. Again, adjust the volume to the size of the room. Do not be afraid to go louder or softer for different things. I'm going to show you how that works soon as well. This is a good use. Raising your voice or lowering it suddenly is a good technique to get people's attention. Did you hear that? As soon as I raise my voice, I can see all of you looking at me suddenly. Okay? It works the same way if I lower my voice. Because if I lower my voice, you're going to get more emotional, and you're going to get more quiet, and you're going to come back in. Make sense? If I want you to speak louder, I will speak louder if I want you to speak louder. I do what I want you as a student to do. Yes, Roy?
Why is it lowering and heightening your voice?
Why?
Method.
Why is that method?
Why is it not method? Because is the way you're doing it?
Okay. The question Roy asked is, why isn't that in the method column? Why is it in the manner column? You're going to have to hold on for that answer because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So hold on for that answer, and then if it's not answered at the end, you can re-bring it up. Does that sound okay? Okay, we have to put on a hold for that. This is what we're going to do now. It's a little activity just to help you get into the mood of opening up your lungs. We're all going to do this together. I know you're writing, so I'm going to wait for you to finish writing. On the count of 3, we all going to have a big shout. You all look strange. What do you mean? On the count of 3, when I go 1, 2, on 3, you're just going to, okay? You're just going to shout and scream. Now, I'm not saying that when you're teaching and when you're at church, you're just going to scream, all right? That's not the purpose of this exercise. That's not why we're doing it. Why we're doing it, though, is because we're going to start, I'm going to start getting you to do some more activities. And you're going to be shy, and you're going to might not feel comfortable. We need to break down some barriers here, and we need to be a little bit more comfortable with each other. And we'll get more and more comfortable with each other, but we need to start learning that this is a safe space where we can learn, okay, and be ourselves, and we need to start warming up these voices of ours, okay? That's why we're going to do it. So, are you clear on the instructions? Yes. And you're going to keep on screaming as loud as you can until I do this. Okay? That's the stop. Are you ready? All right. Here we go. Ready? The thunder. Did you hear that? That's the drum roll before. Yeah, that was timed well. Thanks, God. All right. All right. On the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now, you might not have seen what I saw, but it's fun from up here. We have some people going, you know, and Dix is here going, you know, other people, It's hard not to use your body language when you scream, but I see some of you try not to. Tell me that wasn't fun, hey? And now you're all going, I need some water. Well done. That was good. That was very good. That's nice and loud, and it's starting to get our voice ready to go. Now, voice projection is when you're able to project your voice loud enough so that somebody can hear you. My friend over here, Mass, I'm going to get you to stand up. Stand up, Mass. Here we go. Now, that's it. Show us how it's done, Mass. Okay, what I'm going to do is can I just get you to move back a little bit because I need an opening here. So, because I got to get to Mass. Mass, you're sitting down, my friend. What are you sitting down for? All right. Now, Mass, you and I are going to do an activity. There's a koala bear in it. Do you have a koala bear? No? There we go. All right. Here we go. Focus on the bear. All right. Now, Mass, I'm gonna ask you questions, okay? And when I ask you questions, I need you to answer those questions. They're going to be simple questions. Just things about, what's your favourite food and your favourite colour. So simple questions that you'll know. But Mass, I've got to be able to hear you. Okay? So that means that you might have to project your voice when you need to project it. How does that sound? How you look concerned. I'm not going to hurt you. Okay? So I'm just going to ask you questions and you're going to have to make sure that I can hear it. Don't worry about the class for now. They don't exist. It's just you and me. Okay? It's just you and me. So you just have to make sure that I can hear you. Sound okay? Remember about the bear. There's a bear. Just think about the bear. I'm going to put it there so I can just tempt you a little bit right there. Okay. So it's just you and I, okay? And if I can't hear you, Mass, I'm just going to keep on going, say that again, all right? And if I can't hear you, it means you have to project your voice louder so that I can hear you. Does that make sense? All right. Mass, what's your full name? Can you tell me your full name? Wea? It's not Mass? You tell me your full name. Maswea. What is your favourite food?
Sorry?
What is your favourite food?
It's local kakain. It's manyo, taro.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
What are your children's names?
Maxim and Mala.
Are you married?
Yes.
What is your wife's name?
Susan.
What did you do this morning? Say that again, Mass. What is your favourite sport, Mass? What is your favourite sport?
Football.
Why do you like football?
For exercising my body.
Oh! What part of your body do you exercise the most when you play football? Keep on going.
Like running. To exercise my body.
What town are you from?
Tana.
Say it again.
Tana.
What is Tanner like?
It's like,
Tell me more. Explain to me, open question, big long answer. Explain what Tanner is like. Come on.
Tana is like Fiji.
What is Fiji like?
Symbol like here.
Is it hot? Is it hot?
Yes.
How hot is it?
Because Tana is a volcanic island.
What? Tell me about volcanoes. How big are volcanoes?
It's like fire in deep snow.
What are the full names of your children?
Maximus and Malama.
Say that again. What are the names of your children?
Maximus and Malama.
Again. Come on, louder, Mass.
Maximus and Malama.
Louder.
Maximus and Malama.
Again.
Maximus and Malama.
What are the names of your children?
Maximus and Malama.
Hey. Yeah, he's a koala. Okay, we got there, didn't we? We got there. Well done. Well done. And what I noticed with Mass's body language is he wanted to start off like this. Okay? And then as I'm saying louder and louder, his arms moved. And he started to express himself. And you're going to see that more and more and more today, that your body language, your manner, expresses when you talk. They go hand in hand. Matter and manner are married together, okay? They're married together. They're not divorced. They're married together and they go together. And you could see that as I left the room, Mass's trying to get louder and louder, right? To adjust his volume for where I was. And then as soon as I ran up to Mass and was right next to him, he adjusted his volume because I was right next to him. And if he was loud right next to my face, that was inappropriate, correct? We need to start learning to adjust our volume based on what's happening. As the thunder comes and the rain comes, I'm going to have to adjust my volume now as well so that you can hear me. Make sense? Yes. Good. So we understand that volume is very important when it comes to manner. Because if I can't hear you, then you might as well just forget about saying what you're saying. How is that? It's coming down. Okay, the next thing is tone. Tone of your voice. Tone is different to volume. And people aren't sure how the difference is in the subtlety of a tone and volume. Volume is how loud or soft you can go. But volume is the different tones that you have in your voice that go up or go down. Okay? And I don't know if you can, who can't hear me? Back row? Are you able to hear me? Be honest, tell me, you need to communicate. Kind of? All right, you can't hear too well? All right, we'll see how that goes.
Joanna breaks because of the rain. When the class returns, she reviews the material covered before returning to the topic of tone of voice.
Thank you, team, for coming back on time. Michelle, what is the first thing that we do when we come back from a break? We revise. Well done. Okay, are we ready for revision? Yes. What's this? The 3 M's, correct. What's the first M? Matter. Second M? Manner. What is the third M? Method. And why do we want to learn to be good communicators? To be remembered. That's right. Give me 3 of the things in the learning pyramid. Reading, lecture, practice by doing, good, demonstration. Okay, nice. What is one of the points in manner? Manner, in manner. Volume and voice, good, yep. Words comes from which category? Matter, that's right. And what is the most common form of communication? Non-verbal. Well done. Done. We've done our revision. Very well done. The sun is partly shining through the clouds and the rain has stopped. So that worked out really well, didn't it? Worked out, yeah, amen, it worked out really well. And we have a lot to get through by the end of the day. If we can get it done early, we get an early mark. If not, we go to 5:30. But I'm quite sure we could, you know, I'm trying to aim for a bit of an early mark. So let's see how we can go, okay? Now, we went away and we spoke about volume. And I mentioned that the volume has to be adjusted to the size of the room, right? So we spoke about volume and then we just started on tone. And tone is how you can vary the different types of tone in your voice. Now, generally, males, men, have a deeper tone, generally speaking. And generally speaking, women or females will have a higher pitched tone. But what we need to try and do, doesn't matter whether you're male or female, is use all the different tones within your voice to express different things. Okay? And I'm going to show you how that is with an example that I'm going to do in a moment. First thing, though, I want to mention is the word monotone. This one's not working. That one's not working. What is a monotone? Can anybody tell me? What is it? One tone. That's right. Mono is the word for one. Monotone is one tone. Many people, when they teach or they preach, go into what I call automatic pilot. Yeah, they come up, they've got their notes or they've got their sermon, and they just start talking. Oh, thank you for being here today. I'm very glad you're at EE International's training group. We're going to have fun this week. We're going to learn about communication. We're going to learn about tone. We're going to learn about volume. You need to change your volume. We're going to learn about matter, manner, method. Oh, you mean you don't like that? That's a monotone, isn't it? That's one tone. And too often, speakers or presenters get in one tone because it's comfortable. And when you change the tone of your voice and the volume, it does take more energy and it does take more effort. But sometimes people can just go in one tone, just one tone. And that especially happens when you start to lecture. You just start reading. If you've got all your notes written down, you just read and you're on one big monotone. The problem with monotone is it can become very, very boring. That's right. Monotone can just be one tone like this. Monotone can also be like this. Oh, I love that you're here in the church tonight. That you're here loving Jesus tonight. We're going to learn about everything tonight. We're going to get you excited in the name of the Father tonight. We're going to bless you here today. We're going to teach you about all these different things. Is that a monotone? It's a monotone, but a different tone. It's still one. It's the same one the whole time. Question, Chris?
Like a horse racing commentator.
A horse racing, yeah. Or an auctioneer. Have you heard the auctioneer? One more time. You don't really know what's going on. Exactly right. And it's not marrying up to the words that you say. Because the words that we say have emotion attached to them. And if you're just on one tone, you can't actually express with different tones the words that need to come out. Does that make sense to you? So I'm not going to spend as much time explaining about tone because you're going to find out how tone works as we go along. I want to make this very important point to you. And if you're going to forget a lot of things, don't forget this, okay? If you're going to remember something important, this is very important to remember. Everything that I'm teaching you, you can already do. You already do it. And you already do it well. You already adjust your volume. You can already change your tones. You already communicate to each other, right? You've been living your whole life communicating to one another. And I see you when you talk to each other at lunchtime and when you do things, you're using your hand actions and you're changing your voice. You know how to do it already. The difference is when you go from sitting down and comfortable to at the front, in front of people, things change. I went to America a few years ago and I lived there for a few months. And what I found, I thought everything would be the same as it is in Australia, but I was surprised that things were quite different. Now, back at home in Australia, I drive. I can drive a car. And I've been driving for more than 10 years now, so it comes naturally to me. It's comfortable. I don't think about driving anymore. I go inside the car, I turn on the ignition, I move all the things, and I just start driving, okay? I don't think about it. It's second nature to me now. When I went to America, I was given a car to drive. Now, I'll let you know, America drives on the opposite side of the road to Australia. They drive on the wrong side of the road. Us Australians and Islanders, we drive on the right side of the road, don't we? The correct side of the road. So I was given these keys and said, there you go, Joe, use the car. First thing I did wrong was walk around the wrong side. Okay, so I had to walk around the opposite side now. Instead of going to the right, I had to go left. I get into the car and suddenly everything is opposite. Okay, where I change the gears are different, the blinkers are different, and how I turn is different. Even where I roll down the window, it's on the other side now. I have to do that now with my left hand, whereas before I do that with my right hand. All of a sudden, something that is quite natural to me, that I don't have to think about, I'm aware of everything. I'm aware of where the indicator is. I'm aware of where the handle is. I'm thinking, which foot do I put on which pedal? Suddenly, I froze. Even though this is something I do every day. And even with the pedals, they don't change. They're actually on the same side. But I suddenly got mixed up even with that. And I thought, what happens if I hit the brake or hit the accelerator thinking it's the brake? I'm going to smash this car. I was suddenly aware of every action I was doing, and I had to do it for a few days before I got comfortable again. And then I was comfortable, I didn't think about it. That was hard for me when I went back to Australia because then everything was opposite again. It's the same as your mannerisms and what you do with your voice. You do it every day. You're already doing it, and you're doing it by nature. When you're talking to your friends and your family, you don't have to think to yourself, I need to change my voice for that. Or I need to speak a bit louder so they can hear me. None of that you're thinking of. It's all second nature and natural to you. But as soon as you get in front, you're suddenly aware of everything that you're doing. Because all these eyes are suddenly staring at you, and it becomes much more difficult. It's more intense. What I need to do is make you aware of the things that you're doing up here so that you're careful not to make the same mistakes again and again. And the more you do it, the more it becomes very natural and you don't have to think about it again and again and again. I don't know when I'm moving my hands when I speak to you. When I first started teaching and preaching, I remember people would say to me, Joe, you need to calm down, you're moving too much. And I come from a European background where we talk a lot and we always use our hands to express ourselves. So that was normal for me. And they actually videotaped me once, and then when I played it back, they pressed fast forward. And this is what I was doing. I thought, wow, I'm using my hands too much. But practice helps you tone those things down or increase. And so we're going to play a game soon that will help you see how you use tone and volume and the other things that we're just about to talk about. So we've covered some volume, we've covered some tone, and now I want to cover pace. Pace. It is the speed at which you talk. The speed. Volume is about how loud or soft you go. Pace is about how fast or slow you go. Question, friends. How fast or slow, what should be my pace when I'm teaching to you? What do you think? What's the speed at which I should teach when I'm teaching you?
Moderate.
Moderate? So in between?
Yes. Not too fast, but not too slow for people to go asleep.
Okay. That's a good indication, Bev. Can we add more to that? No? True, we're going to move. But we're talking at the moment the speed at which we're speaking, the speed at which we're talking. fast and slow and fast and slow? Do I just do that evenly?
No.
Explain it more to me.
We emphasize an important thing. You stress a little bit, and then if not so important, just go.
Okay, for those of you who didn't hear Vic, and Vic, when you're teaching my friend, your voice has to become a lot louder because I can't hear you when I'm only 3 meters away, okay? So that's something, I know the Philippine culture might be a little bit quieter, but you're going to have to speak a lot louder, okay? Because what you've got to say is good, but I don't know it's good if I can't hear it, okay? So you just got to have to definitely get used to projecting your voice more, okay? All right. What Vic said is that sometimes you might go fast, sometimes you might go slow. I can't tell you a secret speed. You have to adjust your speed for what you're communicating, okay? Now, I asked an interesting question on your questionnaires. That question was, do you believe preaching and teaching are the same thing? Put your hands up if you believe it is the same thing. It's okay, because, okay, there's 2. Is there any more than 2? There's 2, thank you. Put your hand up if you think it is different. That should be the rest of you. Okay, and I ask you to put your hand up because as a teacher, I need to check that you're hearing that question properly, okay? Because if there are students that don't put their hand up, it means they're either just too tired or they haven't heard the question properly. All right, hands down. There were 2 of you, Jessie and Josephine. You think it's the same, yeah? Can you tell the class why you think it's the same? I'm going to start with you, Josephine, and then I'll come to you, Jessie. Nice and louder.
As long as we have training, then we will teach because it's a technique, it's a skill.
Okay, so you're saying because it's a technique and a skill, it's basically the same technique and skill, right? Okay, Jessie, what do you think?
I think it is the same because you're communicating this, you're still communicating, but the content is different, but you're still communicating. You're still projecting, you're still communicating something.
Okay, so what you're saying is because you're still, it's a form of communication and you're using the skills of communication, therefore it's the same. Is that right? Okay. Now the rest of you, which is the majority, are saying it's different, and I want to know why you think it's different. Who would like to offer us? Yes.
A preaching is a monologue and a teaching is a dialogue. Sometimes you have to ask the student to respond to any of your clarifications or questions.
Okay. The answer to that was preaching is a monologue. Now we've learnt mono means what? One. A log is talking. So preaching is a monologue, meaning it's just one person doing the talking. Teaching is a dialogue, correct? Being more than one, okay? It's supposed to be more than one. Some teachers, though, if they are just lecturing, it can often be a monologue, can't it? All right, but that was the answer. Okay, good answer. Kata, did you have an answer as well? Same answer? Would anybody like to add more to that? Because the majority of you think it's different. Yes, Sandra?
Teaching is participatory,
Okay.
and all the students should or can be involved in the teaching learning process.
All right. Sandra's answer was that teaching is a patisserie thing. So we have participants, right? There are many people involved and should be involved. And so that's where it's different to preaching, because preaching, although people are listening, right, they're not really involved in things. Is that correct? Anybody want to add more? Yes, Kata.
Teaching can contain practicing as well.
All right, good answer. Kata said that teaching can contain practicing. Does preaching contain practicing? Do you ask your congregation members to take 5 minutes and practice now? No. All right, that's a very good point. There was more. I'm David and then Chris.
Yes, I think preaching with teaching different because when one is preaching and is front of the pulpit. And when you're teaching, you just move around in the room.
Hi. Okay, David said the difference a lot is about where you stand, right? When you're preaching behind a pulpit, and when you're teaching, you're moving around, right? Interesting answer, because in a few moments you're going to learn that we're not using the pulpit, whether we're preaching or teaching. We're going to try and move away from the pulpit, and we're going to try and interact and move around even when we preach. Both, thank you for that answer. Chris?
Preaching is a universal message spoken by one person for everybody, but it can be received differently. Whereas teaching, a good teacher, when the message goes to the people listening, they may be able to pass that message on and teach it because they've learned from the teaching.
Okay. Chris was saying that with teaching, you can pass it on. It's more on a grander scale. Is that correct? Whereas with preaching, it can be a lot more individual. Is that correct? And not so corporate, and that we spread it out. In answer to your question, is preaching and teaching the same or is it different? There are similarities. We would all agree, wouldn't we? You use words, you use information, you use stories, you use tone, you use volume. So they don't live on two separate islands, okay? They cross over. There's definitely elements of it that cross over. But generally speaking, they are very different things, okay? This is why they're different things. When you are teaching something, you expect the recipient, the hearer, or the student to be able to remember what you say and possibly reproduce it. You might possibly be testing them, yeah? Now, when you're at church and you're preaching, you don't test your congregation, do you? You don't say to them, look, I'll meet you here tomorrow and I want you to be able to repeat everything I said. There's no form of test or checking afterward. Seeing how they live as a Christian, that's not really the test, is there? Whereas when you have students, you need to be able to find out that they have learnt what you have taught them, correct? If, remember our doctors, Chris and Pratima, when they're learning medicine, they have to be tested before they're allowed to practice it, correct? Okay? So when the person is communicating here, they need to do it on a different level to make sure that the students hear it. Secondly, teaching usually takes longer than preaching. Preaching can be done in, an hour, 40 minutes, 20 minutes? Some preachers go for 2 hours. It's a long sermon. But generally, teaching is over a longer period of time. And it is over a longer period of time because you expect them to learn it. Preaching is basically sharing your particular message without too much response back. In this class, we've done activities, right? We've learnt the learning pyramid, we've written things down, we've put our hands up and asked questions. We've had a lot of interaction, haven't we? That doesn't occur in preaching. You might say a joke in preaching and the congregation will laugh. You might say something good and they'll say, amen to that, good. But there's no real type of, you don't write down things, do you? And then you don't discuss them on a whiteboard, do you? That doesn't happen. That interaction between preacher and congregation member doesn't happen, does it? Now, there should be, the preacher should be using all the same skills, though, of matter. They need to have stories. I mean, they tell stories about Jesus and Bible stories, right? They should have words, of course. They need to talk with words that are easy to understand, and they need to define words that are hard to understand. So they use all of matter. And they also should be using all of method. They should be using the volume of their voice, right? They should be using all the different tones to explain things. But they're not expecting the same results from the people that they're speaking to. That's why preaching and teaching is different. And I can assure you, I've seen many, many, many preachers who are great preachers, and then suddenly when they get to go up and teach, they can't teach. because they know how to express their feelings and emotions and what they've read in the Bible, but they are not sure then how to get you to also feel that same way. That's the difference. Preaching is about them, sharing them and what they think. Teaching is getting somebody else to know that exact same thing as well. So drawing it back to pace, remember we're talking about pace and the speed? When you are teaching, you must go at a very different pace than when you're preaching, because I need you to reproduce it in an exam, or I need you to reproduce it when you're practicing it, or when you're teaching others. If this was a sermon, I'd be sermoning for a whole week, wouldn't I? Far too long. But I can't teach you what I need to teach you in the length of a sermon, can I? So the pace when you teach, I can't give you a secret number, but it depends on what you are teaching. When concepts are harder to understand, I will take longer to teach them. I will speak slower if I want to slow you down. If I want to get you to go faster, though, I'm going to speak faster so that you actually go faster. And Roy's woken up because I've gone faster, right? The pace I want you to go is the pace I go. If I want you to actually speed up, I speed up. Does that make sense? When I want you to slow it all down, I slow down. The audience copies your emotions. If you're teaching really, really slowly, they will learn slow. Yeah? But when I need you to go fast, remember when I was doing that, hurry up, come on guys, quickly, tell me more, quickly, I speak quickly. When it's something very important that I need you to understand, I will slow down, I will repeat it, and I will repeat it and repeat it. If it's not as important, that's fine, I'll go through it quickly. Some slides I'll leave on there for a long time, some I just go through faster. So my answer to you is, how fast do we go? Yes, we change the pace. Sometimes we'll go faster, sometimes we'll go slower. It is dependent on what we're teaching. And as a teacher, you have to be able to judge, did my class understand that? Do I have to go back and spend more time on it? When we came back from lunch, revision, well, we did it in a minute, right? Because you knew it. You know it so well now. I don't need to waste more time on those things, so we do it quickly. Weeks 3 and 5, you're going to be training. You're going to need to check, do my students, did they really understand the grace section? Do they understand the diagnostic questions? If not, we have to slow down and redo it again. Pace is important because if you're going too fast, they won't get it. Too slow, they slow down. Note taking, I notice you all write notes and it's good to see. Remember, I give you the notes. General rule of thumb, if you're talking too fast, if they can't write down what you're saying, you're going too fast. Do you hear that? If they can't write down what you're saying, you're going too fast. I don't mean that they're writing every single word you say. No, no one ever writes every single word. But if they can't write notes down in time, you're going too fast. Now, when you come up here on Thursday and Friday, most of you will make a common mistake. You're going to go too fast. You're going to go too fast. What is a sign that you can give to slow people down? That's it. Slow people down. For my friends that are doing advanced theological studies, we use actions a lot of the time to show things. They don't need words. It's a non-verbal form of communication. And it means that you're able to non-verbally communicate to the instructor or to the person without embarrassing them, because you're not using words, with actions. And these actions are quite international. You don't even have to know that language. This means speak up, slow down, that fast, hurry up, time out. Usually always means time out. And there are international signs that will work. So my advice to you is use this with each other. Tell your friends, look, tell me to slow down if I need to slow down. Just do this if you can't hear me from the back. And that really helps to judge what the audience is thinking and feeling. It helps you to communicate more effectively. That's what we're going to be doing with each other, okay? If the person at the front is going too fast, you here become the adjudicators this week, friends. After today, you're the adjudicator. I sit down and I become an adjudicator with you. And you're telling everybody up here, slow it down, yeah? Speak up. So we need to get that adjustment right when it comes to pace. And I can talk about it forever, but you'll know what I mean and you'll start to understand when you practice it yourself. So I'm going to move on from pace. Does that sound okay? All right, good work. Now, we've covered these. People tend to speed up when they're nervous, although go very, very slow. Too fast to write down is too fast to understand. Friends, who is that on there? That's me. This is my motorbike. For fun, I like to ride a motorbike. And on the weekends, I like to take it out. It's a sports bike, so it goes particularly fast. And I want to tell you a story about what actually happened on my motorbike. This was about a year ago, and that's my speed bike. Who rides a bike here? Who can ride a motorbike or a moped? Oh, Vic, there's only one. Really? Nobody else here? Here we go. Ujjal, anybody else? Wow. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy my story. I want to share with you what happened one day. I love taking my bike out on a sunny day, and I love taking it around windy streets because I have a sports bike, so you're tucked up like this on the bike, and it goes quite fast, and it's good around corners. So I'll take it out, if it's a sunny weekend, I'll take my bike out to the national park, because the national park winds around a mountain and you go round all the corners. So Saturday morning came along and I took it down the national park, and riding a motorbike is wonderful. You get to smell the air, you get to feel the temperature, and that's what I was doing. I was on the bike and away she goes. I'm doing corners. Corners is fun, that's why bikes are fun. Vroom, vroom, vroom. All of a sudden, go down the gears. I come to a complete stop. I'm going real fast and vroom, stop. Thinking, what's the problem? I look up ahead, all cars and bikes. There's a traffic block suddenly. I think, I'm having so much fun on this bike. I'm so enjoying the sunshine. Boom, stop. So I thought, what do I do? Okay, I'm sitting there for about 20 minutes now, and I think, I'm just going to get off my bike and just walk up the front. Because I want to kind of see what's happening up here. Is there an accident? Are they changing something on the road? What's actually happening? So I hop off my bike and I start walking up to the front because I want to see what actually happens. And then it hits. I see another motorbike lying on the floor, lying on the road. I'm a bike rider. I know what happens when you come off a motorbike. And I think, do I actually really want to go any further? I don't know if I'm going to see a body on the floor. I don't know what's going to happen. So I keep on walking, and I just keep on going closer and closer to the front. And do you know what happened? I'm telling you a lie. Sorry, it never happened. This story doesn't exist. I do ride a motorbike, yes, but I didn't ever hop off the bike again. That didn't happen. But you know what happened? I got all of you listening and on your seats. Yeah, and as I'm enjoying the motorbike and going around the corners, I'm speaking faster and I'm speaking louder, and because that's the emotion that's attached to that. But then when I need you to get sad and emotional, I slow down and get sad and emotional. And all of you actually went like this. You could have heard a pin drop inside this room because you were all waiting to hear, was there a dead body on the road? But that's a lie. But I used my volume, my tone, and my pace to tell that story, didn't I? And by doing that, I actually drew you in. Every one of you would just, what happened on the motorbike? And I didn't need to have Hollywood cameras and big sound effects and 3D. No, I didn't have to have any of that. I just did that voice, volume, pace, and some body language. Yeah? When you're preaching, and especially when you're teaching about evangelism and God, how can you not use your volume and your pace and your tones to show emotion, friends? It's such an emotional thing, and that's the truth. You know, I can use all my tones for a live story. That's the power of your mannerisms, yes? That's the power of your tones. If I had not used my tones, I was on a motorbike one day and I was going through the national park, and then I got off the bike and then I walked forward and I saw if there was a body on the ground, and then there was a body on the ground and I was very, very sad, but then I was happy again because the traffic started up, and then I continued on my bike. But as soon as I change how I describe it, you're having the same emotion as I am having, correct? Yes? That's what we need to aim to do. And even though teaching and preaching are different, you still want to have that same emotion in both, okay? Because you want the congregation to feel the emotions that you're feeling, whether you're teaching or whether you're preaching, it doesn't matter. Make sense? Good. All right, let's move on to the next point. We've covered volume, tone, pace. Let's get into something a little bit more physical now. Eye contact. Eye contact. Very important. Now, what I've written up there is where your eyes go, your voice follows. We're all going to say that together. Ready? Where your eyes go, your voice follows. Again. Where your eyes go, your voice follows. You might think that is very simple. Question. It's not a trick question. Are my eyes on the same plane as my mouth? Is it on the same side of my face as my mouth?
Yes.
What is that? What's the answer?
Yes.
Yes. It's not a trick question, is it? My eyes are on the same side of my face as my mouth. That means where my eyes go, my voice follows. So if I'm looking at the blackboard or the whiteboard, where is my voice going? To the board. If I am looking down at the floor, where is my voice going? To the floor. You can remember yesterday in the morning when we did tongue twisters. Many of you put your paper on the table and then you tried to read it. Remember? You'll know if you did it, if you were one of those, and then you tried to do this. Where did your voice go? Down. I'm using an overhead projector, and my friends, you will be using one as well in weeks 3 and 5. I'll talk about that a little bit later because on one of the nights, probably tonight, Richard will set up an overhead projector and he will allow you to use it and teach you how to use it if you've not used it before. When I click this, you see things change here, don't you? Yes. I never turn my face and read off there? No. Where does my voice go as soon as I do that? Back here. I don't need to talk there. That doesn't need to hear me. That's why, friends, notice how I have this set up. It's in front of me because my voice will still go out the front. And then I have it here as well so that when I need to read it, I can just look and read it and my voice still goes to you, right? So please, when it comes to your turn to teach, if you constantly are looking back and reading back from here, I'm going to say no. Okay, you need to change your setup so that you don't keep on looking back. I know what's coming up on that screen because I've got it right in front of me here. Where your eyes go, your voice follows. Tomorrow, all of us tomorrow, this table and this is going to go away. And all of you are going to do dramas or skits. And you're going to act or perform. And do you know what a lot of people make the mistake of doing when they act and perform? Is they turn their back. Or when they act and perform, they forget that eye contact needs to be out here. So they'll act. Wow, there you go. That was dramatic, wasn't it? I think somebody dropped something in the kitchen. So when they act, they forget to look at the audience and they look at each other. Yeah? 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 Okay, now. Yesterday I said to you that the record book of sin is probably done wrong by most of you, right? Right. All of you. I did. I said all of you. All right. Now, record book of sin. I need a book. Don't give me the Bible. Give me Marcus's book. That'd be good. All right. Where I look, you're going to look. You're going to try to look, right? Now, when we do the record book of sin, we've been taught to do all this type of stuff, right? And when we do it, we have somebody that we're doing it to, correct? How much do you want to bet that when you're doing it, you're looking at the other person, right?
No.
You're looking at the book? Yeah. Who's looking at the book? Yeah. I stand corrected. Not 100% are doing it wrong. Many people will be doing this, talking to the person, when they need to be doing this and looking at the person. That's just one way we're going to improve the record book of sin, because many people are not actually moving this correctly when they're talking. They're doing all sorts of things with the record book of sin when they're talking. It's going everywhere, all over the place. Okay? Your eyes are a huge part of your communication. When you're reading your notes, if you're writing every single one of your notes down, it's all written, where is your eyes? On the book. Your eyes need to be here. You're never staring at one person all the time. Because what happens if you stare at one person all the time is that everybody will eventually start staring at that one person all the time. Because they're going to go, what is that? What are they staring at? Okay? Do you remember with your tongue twisters though? Some of you tried to memorize them, tried to remember them without looking at the sheet of paper. So you just stared out to blubbering, blubber, blubbering, just looking out into space almost, but not really looking at anybody. Eye contact communicates, okay? Our eyes are very, very important. And where your eyes go, your voice will follow. You will learn how that goes as we start practicing tomorrow and onward, and especially with the skits, because a lot of the skits, like, I'll tell you now, I better give this back, otherwise I'll steal that off you. Thanks, Sandra. With the Shamil, the Garcia, or the old man skit, you know, you have the mum and she steals food. Many times the mum is down here and going, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Where's my voice going? Where's my eyes? Okay? Wrong place to be. The mum can be down here, but where are the eyes? Up, okay? The mum can still be down here, but the mum who is sad because she's been caught as the thief, I can't see her being sad unless I can see her eyes, okay? Yeah? Many people try and do that skit and they cover their head up. Yeah? Well, as soon as you cover your head, what happens to your eyes? Yeah, it's covered and your mouth is covered, so I can't hear you properly. So these are the little things that you need to learn how to do so that you communicate more effectively. And until I make you aware of what you're doing incorrectly, you're not going to be able to actually fix the problem. Make sense? Okay. So, eye contact, very important. We're always looking at the students, my friends. I never face my back to you, and I don't want to see your backs either. Whether you're doing drama or whether you're teaching, I don't want to see your back because your back doesn't express anything to me. So if you go forward to the group, like I do many times, I don't turn around and walk like this. You don't see me doing that. I will come forward and then I'll walk backward because you still see my eyes. Does that make sense? Almost the only time you will see my back is when I'm writing on the board, and still I try to write on an angle so that you can always see my face. I don't want to see your backs. And I know I probably will see your back as we're practicing, but that's the idea of practicing. We make the mistakes together this week, okay? So we don't make the same mistakes when it's most important. Does that make sense? Okay. Next, I think we've already covered this. We don't talk when we're writing on the board, correct? Yes. Good work. The next thing I want to cover are your notes, okay? Your actual notes. It's what you've got your material on. You do not have to memorize your material, okay? It is okay to have notes. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. Many people, many kids, when I teach them, they think that if they memorize it, they're better than the kid who doesn't memorize it. Some of you tried to memorize your tongue twisters. You thought, oh, that'll be good, I'll just memorize it. And some of you would try, but then you'd forget and you'd have no choice but to look. Your notes are very important, and you need notes. I've been doing this for years, and I still use notes. They're your safety blanket for when something might go wrong and you need notes. But there are ways to use notes correctly and then incorrectly as well. So let's look at that. Your paper size, this, should not be too big or too small. Sometimes people try to use cue cards, yeah, little cards to help them do things. If your cards are really, really small, you're not going to be able to write enough on them. People think that they have to hide their cards so they can fit in their palm cards. Oh, I don't want people seeing that I have notes. Too small, okay? When you're teaching, there's no need for tiny cards. You might use that when you're giving a speech or a presentation, but you can't make them that small that you fit nothing on it. But in the same sense, your notes can't be too big, okay? Your notes can't, who's got a laptop here? No, I do. I'm going to use this. Your notes can't be too big. I have seen people bring their computers, their laptops up, and that's where they have their notes. And they read it from here. And they hold it, and then they close it, and then they do this, and then they do that. Okay, you tell me. Am I adding or taking away? Remember we saw that yesterday? Am I adding or taking away? That's right. Is this too big? It's silly. Okay, it's really, really silly. In our present day of modern technology, many people use digital notes, like an iPad. Who has an iPad here? I can see an iPad on the table. Okay. Do you just want to grab that, Colin? And I've seen many preachers and teachers now use iPads. That's fine. That's what they're there for, okay? You see people doing this and reading their sermons and doing stuff like that. You know what? I don't have a problem with that. But what I have a problem with is technical difficulties. There's always a technical difficulty, isn't it? The overhead doesn't work or the notes don't work. Friends, if you are using notes on any form of digital data, you need to print the notes out as well. Because if I drop this, apart from the fact that Justin won't be happy that I broke his iPad, the notes are gone. Do you realise that? The notes are gone. And if you drop this, your sermon's gone, your notes are gone, everything is gone. And when I come here and I have my presentation here, I also have it here, okay? And that's just a printout. It's a clean printout of everything that is on there. And when I think of things, then I write stuff on it, okay? I actually write stuff on my slides. Look, it's full of notes. It's full of notes of everything that I've got to say that's not on the slide. So I know what you're seeing and I know what I need to remember, okay? I print out everything and then you know what else I do? I put my presentation on a flash drive, a little key, because if this dropped and smashed, there's my PowerPoint presentation gone, yeah? I have no backup. But if it's on a little key, I can give it to Richard, he can put it in his computer and we can keep on going. You need to set yourself up for success, not for failure. Set yourself up for success, not for failure. Notes are what you have spent a long time preparing. Don't be afraid to have notes, okay? But when you have your notes, they need to be on an appropriate medium. Also, you need to hold them in the right way. Friends, you need to hold them in the right way. When I have my notes here and I look at them, I don't try and hide them and put them down here, because if I try and put them down here and then I need to read them, what happens? Yeah, voice and eyes. But I need to read them, okay? So where should I move them if I need to read them? Good, in front of me, and just let me, that's exactly right, you've seen me do that. It's still here, and all I do is just adjust my eyes, my mouth still stays there, I don't need to do much to my eyes, I quickly read it, and then I look back up at you, yeah? Yes. Remember, you're going to be doing this in the next few days. So you need to ask yourself where you're going to put all of this stuff, where you're going to put your notes, because you're going to have notes that you need to teach. So you're going to need to print. Another thing I do is I have it, got my little clip here, yeah? My little clip holds it together. What happens though if by some chance this little beautiful clip of mine breaks? Or the fans are turned on, or the door's opened and a breeze comes in, suddenly. They usually don't fall quite so nice. They usually, what happens if that happens? We struggle? Take a toilet break? Everybody go away for 5 minutes? What happens if my class has got 100 people? That's a big toilet break. It actually takes a long time to get 100 people back. Okay, and you guys are good, you do come back on time, but I'm telling you, most people aren't coming on time. What do? Pardon? Say that again, my friend. Pick them up and reshuffle them. Do we do that? What other options do we have? Come on, friends, let's think about it. This might happen to you. Got the USB? I'll have 2 copies. Let's have 2 copies. There's always someone that says that. Where are you from? Asia? Unbelievable. Everywhere I go around Asia, they'll always say to me, oh, but you'll have a helper, and the helper will come and pick it up. I think that's wonderful, but I can assure you in Australia, there are no helpers that will come and help you. They'll just watch you and probably laugh at you. Okay, they go, ah. Friends, guess what? As the communicator, you're in control, okay? You're in charge and you're in control. Who cares? They feel that. I'm in control. I can throw a pen because I'm in control. And I shouldn't feel embarrassed. Do you understand? So what, my notes fell on the ground. Yes, I have a USB, but I can't go and print them. I can't quickly grab my USB and go, oh no, oh gee, just hold on for a minute, I'm going to go print it. They're important, you need these. Don't think that you can just leave them on the floor. Oh no, they're on the floor, that's where they're going to stay. Do not try to read them from the floor. Oh, you laugh. I have seen this happen. I have seen people, oh no, it's on the floor, and then they try and get their foot and move them. And then they step back, so they've got to read them. Now what? Where is my voice going? Floor, yeah. And you look foolish, okay? That doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You need these. These are important. You spent time preparing these. You know what? Pick them up. Simple. Don't be embarrassed. Say, sorry, friends. Sorry, congregation. Just give me a minute. I'm going to pick these up. Now, you don't keep on talking down there. Okay? You don't say manner is a really good thing, because if you don't have good manner, where's my voice going? Down. Where are my eyes? Down. And guess what? They're not listening to you. They're just watching you fumble and not listening to anything that's coming out of your mouth. Okay? You just say, oh, sorry about that. I'm just going to pick them up. Give me a second. Okay, they're going to watch you pick them up. And that doesn't feel good, but who cares, okay? It's okay. It doesn't take that long, and you just pick up your pieces of paper. But what am I going to do to these bits of paper beforehand, before I teach, to make sure that I can put them in the right order? I can staple them, but what happens if they're not stapled or the staple comes undone or it breaks? Page numbers! Friends, page numbers. Please number all your pages so that if they do fall, not a problem, okay? You put them together in page number. Don't write on both sides. Don't write on both sides, okay? Because once you write on both sides, you start to fumble more. You do the whole, here it is, I think it's that one, is it that one? Just one side, okay? Just one side. And let your notes be flexible. Here, can you see that? Those are my notes, right? That's a printout right there of the overhead. But look, printout, highlighter. Yeah, can you see colours? I'm helping myself remember. Because you know what I did on Sunday night? I went through this again. I've been through this a million times. And I thought, you know what? I can make it a bit better. I can add some bits. But I've already printed this out beforehand and I don't have a printer. So you know what? I'm going to have to add a bit of paper. Look at that. Just added a bit of paper. Okay? That's an insert right there. And that's my green. I don't know if you can read that, but that says turn back now. Turn back to that green section, Joe. Because here, you had to talk there, then you had to go to your page and then turn back. Now I had to add that page in. That's not the first time I've done that. Look, that's a totally different page. I had to add that in. But I've already numbered my pages. So I just renumber them. Now that page becomes page 3.5. Yeah? Yeah? 5.5. You make this work for you. This is yours. You're in control of it, not it in control of you. And it works for you. I've been doing this for years and I'm still making separate notes. Okay? When you're teaching and when it's time to make your notes, you'll get the manual. I'm going to give you, every one of you, the manual. And you know what? When you get the manual, excuse me, I'm going to borrow this. you need to get that manual of yours, open it up on the section that you're going to teach, okay? Get some paper, big, nice, fresh bit of paper, and start writing notes, all right? Then you get another bit of paper and you write your proper notes on it, your actual class, okay? And then you can highlight things that mean things. If you just come up with one book, I don't know how you're going to teach. You haven't written enough notes. You can if you like, but I've never seen it done that well. Some people think that they don't have to write notes about their notes, or they can just look at it and they'll just think of things at the time. They're good enough. They'll just think of things at the time. You need to write notes all over things to give yourself reminders. And this is something I've been doing for years. I'm still writing notes, friends, okay? I'm still writing notes. So when it's time for you to do your lesson plan, write out notes, okay? Colour match them and colour coordinate them if you need to do that. But you see what's up on here is all points? None of this, whoops, I had that. None of my PowerPoint are sentences. Do you notice that? They're just a bullet and then some words. A bullet and then some words. When I see those words, I know then that I have to start explaining them. That's what your notes should be. They're never long sentences and long paragraphs. Because guess what? You're going to read it. You're going to be tempted to read it. Or you're going to try and memorize it. And then when you don't know that exact word, you're going to look back down again and you're going to feel stumped. So, and this takes practice, you just write the key sentences so that you know when you look at that, then you need to teach, right? I have notes all over this. Graduation slide, okay? Explain what this is. That's what my note says. Graduation slide, explain what this is. I didn't write down on here, this is the graduation ceremony of my friend. It is a special occasion. Everybody dresses up. The people in the photo look bored. It's not written there, is it? I know what that slide is because I have prepared. Do you understand? So all I do is I look at that and I go, okay, I need to explain to my class what is going here. And when I force myself to explain, that's when I start using all my body language. And I start looking at you and I use my voice differently. But if I write everything down, do you know if I wrote everything down that I taught, do you know how thick this would be? This would be as thick as a Bible. It would, wouldn't it? It'd be a massive manual. You cannot write every word down. So we need to start getting it. And it takes time, friends. It's practice. You'll start writing a lot of things. And as you get better and better, you'll just narrow it down to a few words and just a sentence. That's how we use our notes. These are really important. This is my friend. I'm telling you, when I fly, I'd prefer to lose everything before I lose this. Because I can still teach with this, okay? If I lose my phone, I don't care. But these are very important. Make sense? All right. And look, we're here to help you, friends. We're here to help you get your notes right and here to help you use your notes so that you're able to do it more effectively. Now, I'm going to give you a point. When you're teaching on Thursday and Friday, you're teaching from the Island Manual. You might be given a section, say section 5. And section 5's on page whatever. You're going to know that page number because you're teaching on it. Your students will not know. You constantly have to tell your students what page number you want them to look at. Does that make sense? Students, we're now turning to page 5. Whenever you turn a page, you need to let them know. We're now turning on to page 6. We're now on page 7. You need to direct the traffic, okay? You need to direct your students what pages they need to turn to as well. Does that make sense? All right. So let me get back to, so that's my notes, and I just shuffled up the order as I'm showing you. That's okay. I just spend a second or two to find where I'm at. And I found it. Great. Found where I'm at. This is the motorbike slide that you saw. Right under there is the exact thing that you're looking up there now. I'm back on target. You're back on target. Yes? and we just continue on. Boom. And I hit this when I plug in my computer. And you can see, I'm plugging my computer on now. I'm the teacher, I'm in charge, I don't have to be embarrassed about doing this, okay? But I know how all this equipment works because I did it before I started the class. I didn't do it when the class started. So when you're teaching, please learn how to use your equipment before you do it in class. Yes, friends? There's nothing more frustrating than watching somebody try and fumble to use something because they never gave themselves enough time beforehand, okay? Know the equipment that you're using. I know it's different. You might not have equipment where you come from. And sometimes you might go places and there's all different types of equipment. That's why you need to give yourself time at the beginning to learn how it works, okay? So if you're going to be using PowerPoint on Thursday and Friday, you need to understand how to use this machine, okay? You need to understand how to use the little thing that changes things. You need to know what is on your slides, okay? You need to know what is on your slides. You need to know what's going up there without being surprised. Make sense? Okay, that's a bit of help to help you. All right, bad notes, they're going to affect your manner and your method. Next thing, we love this, gestures, okay? It's what you do with your arms and your hands and your legs and your face. We use our arms and our body to express things. It is our most powerful tool. Remember non-verbal communication? 90%, exactly, is all of this. My hands expresses points. Friends, when you have hands and legs and arms, you need to use them when you're expressing yourself. Many people get nervous about these, don't know what to do with them. And I've seen some of you already, you'll hide them. I'll put them behind my back, that's a good place. Or, yeah, what is that? Say that again. In the pockets. Here we go. Oh, that's comfortable right there. I don't have to worry about my hands now because they're in my pockets. This is the problem. Naturally, your body wants to express what you say. So if you have your hands in your pockets or if you try and glue them to the side of you, you're going to start to want to express yourself. And you're going to start to do this. You're going to start to want to move. Do you remember my friend Mass when he was talking? Had his hands behind his back. And then when he had to start getting louder and louder, his hands started to come out when he was expressing himself. You need to get your hands out from here and start letting them go and expressing yourself. When I give you a number, many times I use my hands, right? Show me the number 2. Yeah, show me the number 5. How many points are there in the gospel presentation? Don't use words. How many points are there in the learning pyramid? Show me. Good. How many days will we be learning communication? You have just spoken without using words. Okay? When you're a teacher, people sometimes don't hear you. So you need to help them express things, okay? We are going to learn 5 points in the gospel presentation. 5 points. And as soon as you do this, people remember this more, yeah? I said we need to do tongue twisters twice. So I complement what I say with my body language, okay? I complement my matter with my body language. And that's why we have hands and feet and we can do things with them all. Hands in pockets, no more. You're not allowed to put your hands in pockets, okay? It stops your expression. And you know what else sometimes happens? You get nervous. And when you get nervous, you then start to play with things in your pockets. Sometimes men put money in there, yeah? Or we put keys in there. Or we put phones, yeah. And so you're there and you start talking and something becomes alive there. Now, remember I said to you the other day, I need to give you help and advice on how to answer whether you should do things or not when I'm not around. So, tell me, is this adding, taking away from what I'm saying? You don't need Joe there to answer, to tell you whether or not that's the right technique. You just need to go, that is so taking away from what I'm saying. I don't do that. So no hands in pockets, okay? Hands come out, and we use these when we need to use these. Make sense? Microphone. Microphone, okay. I don't use a microphone in this room. I don't need to use a microphone in this room. You won't be using a microphone either. Do we have a mic? We had a mic. Can I grab it, the microphone? In this room, we don't use a microphone. We're not using a microphone, okay? Now, I know when you go back to your churches and things like that, you might need one. If there is a group full of 1,000 people, you're going to need a microphone. But just because a microphone is there, do not use it unless you have to use it. There's a reason why. And I'll show you in a minute when Mumba comes out with the microphone. Whilst we're waiting though, microphone, right? What can we use? This is better microphone. You've got to hold the microphone, right? Here we go. Hold the microphone. That's one arm gone. You only got two. That's one gone. Okay? Constantly. Do you have the remote one? I don't want to use it. I just want to hold it. That's okay. Give me that. That's okay. That's good. So, you have your water back now. All right. Whose water was that? Thank you. Microphone. Oh, with the cord. Everybody loves the cord. I'm glad this one has a cord. Most do. So, that's one hand gone. You can't express yourself with this hand. You can't go like this because it has to stay here, okay? I have one hand left. With this one hand, I'm expected to hold my notes. I'm expected to use it as expression, and I'm expected to possibly move a thing here. Can you see how there's a problem? Also, there's this. It's usually attached to something else. As soon as you try to move, whoosh, trip she goes, okay? It moves. So you might say, well, Joe, that's what we have stands for. Well, this is a stand. We've got a stand, and let's just put the microphone on the stand because then you've got your two hands, right? This is really tall, isn't it? This assumes that I'm this really tall girl, which I'm not. All right, let's come back down here. Adjust it. And it's never your height, is it? You always have to adjust these things. So then we put the microphone here. All right, there we go. Now I can't move. And I am just a tree planted here. And this is in the way. Oh, no, don't do that. Come back. Don't walk over there. No, you stay back here. Because that makes me stand right here, correct? Microphones are not your friend. They're not your friend. Unless you have some type of a cordless microphone, then maybe. But I think it's fair to say most of us don't. I've been doing this for years and years and years, and only last year was I given one with a little boom over here, and still that was annoying because my hair kept on hitting it. And microphones are only your friends when you have such a huge audience that you have absolutely no choice but to use that microphone. Because as soon as you use that microphone, you're restricted. Sometimes you don't have a choice, friends, I understand. But if you do not have to use the microphone, do not use it. You understand? Voice projection. Don't use this microphone. It will only stop you using all of your mannerisms and completely box you in. So that's why we're not using the microphone this week, friends. It's not because I'm a bad cop and I hate you and I just want to make your life horrible. That's not it. It's because I care for you and I want you to be able to learn how to do it without the microphone so that you can practice using all of your gestures. Make sense? All right, good stuff. Now, moving on. Stance. Stance is where we stand. Okay? It's where we move. It's where we get to position ourselves when we teach or preach. You can move around, but before Chris, question.
There's just the last one there, do not point.
Ah, sorry, thank you, do not point. Friends, this is considered pretty much rude in any culture you go to. It's pointing. When you are using your hands, you need to use them to help you, to complement you, not to go against you. When you are wanting to point, never do it with your finger, open hand, yeah? When I gave you numbers, I would still open hand. 1, 2, 3, it was never this, okay? If I'm trying to show points, point 1, point 2, there are 5 points. Yes? I'm never actually doing this at anybody because it's just generally considered rude. If I'm wanting to motion to this side of the audience, I might open hand gesture, okay? Again, I might open hand gesture to here. But I'm never pointing, I'm using this to help me. Make sense? Okay. Going on to stance, it's where you move. Friends, move around. You're allowed to move. When you move, you engage with the audience. At the beginning though, it's hard to know where to move. So if you're a beginner, take your position center stage. Center stage. Okay, not on the side, all the way at the side. You be as center as you can be. At the beginning, if you're not sure how far to move, just go 1 or 2 steps forward and back. Okay? Just 1 or 2 steps there, back, and from side to side. Can you see? So basically, you've got about 1 meter or 2 squared. Right here, a circle, a nice circle. And you can do a lot with just that amount. Once you start getting comfortable and more confident, that's when you can actually start walking a bit more. Yes? And then going around the rest of the class. But please don't abuse the space that you have. Sometimes I see preachers, they use the whole stage. Oh, I'm happy to be here today. I am happy to be here and share to you about Jesus and about communication and about how much you're going to learn. Oh, you're going to learn so much this week. And they pace up and down. Who's seen that before? Have you seen? Yeah. Oh, okay, look at all the hands go up. You've seen it, haven't you? They pace up and down. And it's a part of their nervous energy, so they're just pacing up and down. You have space, but if you just constantly pace, you know what it is? It's a tennis match. That's all they're going to do. It's a tennis match. You need to use the space effectively. Also, you might be a rocker. You know what I mean by rocker? I don't mean that you're a rock star playing music. What I mean is that as you're up there, you start to rock. See me rocking? You don't know you're doing it. You have no idea that this is what's happening. I mean, the whole class will start to rock with you. But you do this for 10, 20, 30, 40. Is this adding or taking away? Taking away. Correct, it's taking away. Many people do it. And they don't know they're doing it, but they're doing it because it's nervous energy and they've been told just stand there, stand at the front, get comfortable, and then just do what you need to do. The reason they are rocking is because of how they're standing. 2 feet, 2 legs straight out like that, and they're going to start to rock. If you're a rocker, and this is where you need to get people to say to you, look, you're rocking, you're going back and forth. You're only doing it because of how you're standing. All you do, put 1 foot in front of the other, you're not going to rock anymore. If you do rock, you'll actually fall over. You won't fall over, okay? But that's how you stop rocking. So simple. 1 foot in front of the other, your hips don't rock anymore. That's when you get in a more comfortable position. Stance is important, friends. Move around as you need to move around. When you go backward, you never turn your back. You always step backward, okay? Ladies, especially ladies, wear shoes that are comfortable for you so that you're able to do that, go back and forth. High heels look lovely. They really do, don't they? But sometimes they're very uncomfortable to walk in and they're very impractical. And the last thing you want to do is trip over yourself as you're going backward, okay? I brought 5 pairs of shoes on this trip. And my high heels are always there and they look so lovely. But as soon as I put them on, I just cannot walk around the way I need to walk around. Make sure what you're wearing is comfortable and your footwear is good enough so that you can actually walk around. Make sense? Yes? Okay. Moving around too much distracts. Staying in one spot, too boring. You do need to move around a bit. Give yourself a 1-2 metre square amount of space. Now the next thing is, actually Roy, you might be my man. I'll let you come back. No, I'll get Takapik. Stand up, my friend. Come out here at the front. Who else next will I get? Pratima, just stand out there. Can you come out the front too? Over here, Takapik. Over here, friend. Okay. Welcome. Suddenly we have the lectern. Look at that. Do you notice this hasn't been present in the whole time I've been doing my teaching? Hasn't been here. Hasn't been here at all. But now I've brought it back in. Come here, my friend. All right. Stand right there. Just stand there. Don't move. Good. Stand there. Pratima, thank you. Ah, wonderful. Stand right there. Okay. You don't have to do anything, just stand. You're just models right now, okay? Just models. Have a look, friends, at my 2 friends here. What do you notice, the first thing? Well, who said that? Different heights. Thank you. Takape is significantly taller than Pratima, right? Yes. Let's have a look at this. Let's bring it more closer. This is where it reaches these people. Actually, this is what you see. Where is my arm on Pratima's face? On this person's chin. She's a talking head. That's all she's going to be if she stands behind here. Pratima, lift up your arm. Lift up. Oh, there we go. She can't. She can't use her hand gestures because of this. It's in the way. Now, lucky for Takape, God gave him the gift of height, right? Sorry, you weren't so lucky. But he's taller, but still, lift up this arm, Takape. There we go. Lift it up. Put it out here. Just there. It's this high above. So anytime he makes any hand actions, he's got to go up here, right above his notes, so that you can see it. Friends, this is not the way we should be teaching or preaching. This is not your friend. This is not your friend. Put your hands down. This picture here, it stops all of their body language. It stops them from moving, okay? It stops their hands. And you know what else they're going to want to do? They're going to want to lean on this. Comfortable. Or, I'm just going to borrow this for a minute. This is what they're going to do. This is comfortable. My back feels better this way. Look at that. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's better. Oh, that's better. This is safe. This is so safe back here. This is my protector, and it's here. Thank you so very much to my models. Here we go. Pop that here. Completely changes how I teach you. Completely changes how I teach you. Friends, I understand that this is the way the world teaches and preaches. You might come from a church that has spent a good amount of money buying one of these. It might be really fancy. It might have all these things on the front and a beautiful microphone that comes out. I've been to a church where it comes out of the floor. It goes down into the floor, and then when it's necessary, they press a button and it comes up from the floor. They've spent good money on that. I'm sure they took an offering and everything just to pay for their lectern or their stand or their pulpit. There's a few different names you can give this. So I know that when I say to you not to stand behind it, that's sensitive. I know that's sensitive because that's probably the background you come from. I remember when I went to Santo, when I went on the island, I had a great time in Santo. This was many, many years ago, and you actually had to go up some stairs. You had to go up these stairs and behind a little balcony and a little gate to go up to the pulpit. And you were high up, and that's where the pulpit was. I don't know, you might even know this church. I know it well because I went in there and I got in trouble. It said to me, no, don't do that, that's for the preacher, get away. This is not meant to be in front of you. Even if it's at church, you need to move away from it. You need to either physically remove it. If you can't remove it because it's fixed, you need to not stand behind it. Okay? I'm not going to let you stand behind this week. It won't be allowed. When you go back to your churches, I'm not there, Joe's not there. You can stand behind it if you like. But I'm telling you, you get to choose. Okay? And I hope that you start to realize this is not your friend. If you stand behind it, it's not your friend. It will obstruct you and restrict you. It is there for a purpose though, right? Because you need to put your notes on something. So use it as your friend. Set yourself up for success, not for failure. I keep on saying that. Use it appropriately. This sits on the side, okay? This can sit on the side, not on center stage. You're the only person that should be at center stage. That's on the side, right? Put your notes on it. No problems now. There we go. I can keep on coming back to my notes, okay? I can get things, I can change things, right? Or it's nice and in front of me. Still to the side. So if it's something on there that I need to see, I just quickly look at it, right? I can see it and then I look back up at you. Please print big enough for you to see. Friends, please print big enough for you to see. Many times, may I please borrow your glasses?
Sure.
Thank you. I see this often. This. Yeah, which was it? Okay. The Bible says, have you seen this often? Yes. Yeah, that's why you're laughing. Because you think, yeah, I've seen that. Maybe I did that too. Okay, you tell me. Adding, distracting. Taking away? Yeah. You know what? If you do it once, it doesn't matter. But I don't think you're doing it once. It's usually done a lot of the time. You know why? Because they can't read the Bible. Or they can't read some type of print. It's too small. Rewrite it in a bigger print. Type it out in a bigger print. Friends, real simple, isn't it? Not that difficult. Question? How many slides per page? Such a good question. How many slides per page? When I went to print it, I can tell the computer how many slides per page. I think I can fit up to 12 slides per page. I will fit on there how many I can read and see. So for you, it might be 2. Somebody else, it might be 4. You have to fit enough on there to be able to read it. The print can't be too small. To leave some space around it in case you need to write some notes, but to also know the next slide that's about to come so that you know what's next. Personally, I have 2 on a page. Some people might like to have 3 or 4. I think 1, you can't see the other slide, so you would need to have 2. But I can't give you a golden number, Josephine. It's what is good for you and your eyesight. Make sense, friends? So when you're writing stuff, if you need to rewrite it so that you can read it or see it, please do so. It comes down to good preparation. Nothing can beat good preparation. And I'll know if you've prepared because these signs give it away. Okay, that's why I know. If you're constantly putting your glasses, I know you didn't prepare and you didn't write it beforehand. Otherwise, why do you need to do that, right? Suddenly, you're able to pick up all these things that people have and have not done because you can tell. Thank you for that. So, friends, I'm not going to spend more time on this. Use your pulpit or your lectern or your stand to help you, but not to hinder you. Soon as this is in front of you, look, I can't help but do it myself. I want to lean on it. As you can see, this setup here, I have my computer in front of me on the side, not in front of me, right? This is to the side so it doesn't obstruct me, and I'll pick up my notes when I need to pick up my notes. Does that make sense? Good. I don't think we need to spend too much more time on that. Now, 2:30. Do we have a break scheduled anytime soon? In 2 minutes? Is that correct? It's at 3, isn't it? That's okay. One more thing that I want to tell you. You need to dress appropriately for whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? If you're a teacher or a preacher, you should always dress a little bit more formally than your audience. Do you understand? Okay? Impressions count, my friends. Impressions count. Dress appropriate for the age group that you're teaching and you're preaching to. Also dress appropriately for what you're going to do. When you're doing Kids EE people, you run around and you do games and you throw balls, and you need to dress in the proper gear for that to help you, okay? Ladies, especially, please be discreet with what you wear, how much sleeves you are showing or not showing, how short or long your skirt or your dress is. Gentlemen, also be discreet, okay? Be discreet with your shirt. Is it tucked in or tucked out? One or the other, not half. Okay? Is your belt buckled properly? Are your laces done up? Ladies, hair. Add or take away from what I'm saying? Okay? Okay? It's the same for all of us. I won't harp on it too much. I come from a culture which is very relaxed, very informal. I'm brought up, though, as a Macedonian. I'm brought up as a European. European culture is far more formal. When I go to a wedding that is a Macedonian wedding or a European wedding, you must dress up. Ladies usually wear a lovely dress and do their hair and their makeup, and the men will put on a suit and a tie and long sleeve shirt and nice shoes. That is appropriate wear for a Macedonian wedding. If you go to an Australian wedding, stand up, Roy. Be our model for today. Come out the front, Roy, just so the camera can see you for our friends that are studying remotely. Roy could go to an Australian wedding dressed in this. Yeah. And I know because we're in a room full of people that are from different cultures. This is probably unacceptable to you, am I right? This is unacceptable to you. Not in Jamaica? Can you go to a wedding like this in Jamaica? What do you have to do in Jamaica if you're going to suits? Suits, thank you. Yeah, or a tailored shirt. But in Australia, that's acceptable. It's sad, but it's acceptable. And I'm actually going to show you a video soon. That's the next thing that we're going to see after your break. You'll enjoy watching this video because it's everything that you shouldn't do. And it hasn't been staged, it's for real. It's something that has actually happened, and I've recorded it, and I've got the permission of the people, it's okay, but I'm going to show you it. All I need to say, you know your culture, okay? You know your culture better than I do. I don't know your culture. Dress appropriately for your culture, and as the presenter, always make sure that you are dressed a little bit more finer than your students. Does that make sense? Show that you mean business, show that you're serious and that you should be taken seriously. Please don't dress it down. And when you're teaching on Thursday and Friday, can you please start to practice that? Okay, start to practice that. I don't mind when you're finished if you want to go back to your rooms and get in something more comfortable, but how about we practice doing it right, okay? So dress it up a bit. No shorts, we're not going to be teaching in shorts and a t-shirt. Just dress it up a bit when it's your turn to do that. When we're doing the skits, that's different. You dress appropriately for the drama that you're in, but just dress appropriately for wherever you're going. Make sense? Wonderful. Now I want to take you down some audio-visual path. Okay, we're going to use some of that part of the learning pyramid. I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to show you 2 videos. The first video is of a personal friend of mine. His name is Mark. Now Mark is from Wollongong. He's where I'm from, and many times they ask Mark to preach at church. And I think Mark is similar to a lot of people that preach, at least in Australia. Mark was asked to preach. He prepares his sermon and then he preaches. At the end of Mark's sermon, do you know what happens? People in the congregation come up to him and go, "Well done, Mark. Well done, Mark. It was really good. Thank you for that. God bless you. Thank you, Mark." And they thank him because they're Christians and we're taught to be loving, right? Love can be defined in many ways. Loving is not lying. Do you understand that? Loving is not lying. So Mark, you did such a good job. That's not love if you did a bad job. That's lying. Love is, Mark, thank you for doing that, but you do need to improve it. There needs some improving. That's love, okay? As long as we say things in the right way, you can say almost anything. All right? Mark keeps on getting told that he's great. And so he keeps on doing the same thing over and over again. Mark asked me to come and watch him preach. Ooh, that's a mistake right there. Okay. He said, "Joe, can you come and watch me preach and tell me what you think?" "Oh, yeah, sure, I can do that, Mark." So I go to Mark's church and I watch Mark preach. And Mark says, how was I? And I'll say, "Do you want the truth or would you like a lie? You choose." "Mark, I would not preach like that. I don't find that acceptable." You know what Mark's response was? "But that's how we do it. That's how we do it. That's our church." So that's what I'm going to continue doing. You know, repeating a mistake doesn't make it right. Just because that's how everybody doesn't make it right. And that's what I said to Mark. Now, Mark gave me this video when I missed out one week watching him preach. And I said, "Do you have it on video?" He said, "Yeah, sure, Joe. Here it is. Here's it on video. Have a look at it." And I looked at it. And then I said to Mark, "Hey, Mark, I need to ask your permission or something. And you don't have to give me an answer now. You can give me an answer later on, but I just need to ask you a question. Can I use your sermon to show people all around the world?" Now you'll see Mark, he's not that tall. And he's this little man, he went, "You want to use my sermon to show people?" He grew in height. And his eyes lit up. He was so excited. I wasn't excited. And I said, "Yes, I want to use it around the world." And he looked at me and he could tell by my non-verbal communication. He went from this to, then he said, "You don't want to use it for good. You want to use it for bad." And this poor man, well, from this, he shrunk suddenly. And I looked at him and I went, "Mark, I want to use it for bad." I said, "Mark, I'm happy if you say no. You don't have to say yes, I completely understand. But Mark, there are many things that you're doing on there that are not right. And I actually want to show you an example of what not to do. And to Mark's credit, his response was, whatever extends the kingdom of God. Okay, to Mark's credit. Mark has changed a lot since then. And that is a really good thing to see. But I just want to give you a little look at Mark. We're not going to use much audio. Okay, you're not actually going to hear a lot. You're just going to see. Because remember, this is the non-verbal communication side. And I'm going to keep on fast forwarding it because he talks for about 30-40 minutes. So we're not going to watch all of that. But I'm just going to keep on fast forwarding a little bit. And all I want you to do is watch him. And then we can discuss it. But now that I've made you aware of a lot of different things, you're going to notice things you never noticed before. That's why I said yesterday, I'm going to ruin you. Because you're suddenly going to notice all of these things that you didn't notice before, and you're going to go, oh no, that's not a good... But let's just watch Mark, hey? And enjoy watching him. Give me a moment to set this up, because it will take about 2 or 3 moments. Please don't leave, but just give me a moment while I set this up.
The class watches the video of Mark.
All right. Welcome to Mark. Can we kill, is it okay to kill lights? Can we please kill lights? Yeah. Does anybody know, do you know where the switches are? Wonderful, thank you. Kill some more lights? Great, that's a bit better. All right, that's scruffy Mark. Notice what he's wearing too. That's considered formal dress in Australian church. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna watch Mark, and yeah, and enjoy this. Remember, you don't really need sound, so no dramas. Now, this is now 8 minutes. Let's just keep on going. You keep going. You wouldn't know I'm changing it, would you? I'm actually changing this. I keep on fast forwarding by a few minutes. Whoops, needs to catch itself up. "25 minutes now we're into. All right, thanks, Mark. All right, kill the light. Can we pop those lights back on? Yeah. All right, you tell me. What was Mark doing that he shouldn't have been doing? Constantly looking down, isn't he? Yeah, what else? Holding on, wasn't he? He did exactly what I was saying, holding on, but he uses his hands because he wants to express himself, yeah? What else? Sorry? Dress. So, yeah, his dress is horrible. Do you know what I said to him? I said, if I show this to other people, they're going to ask, why are you wearing that? They're just going to be amazed that you're just wearing a normal t-shirt, a Billabong t-shirt at church, being the preacher. Oh, well, we're a comfortable service. We want to encourage people to be comfortable. That was his response. Why do you have to encourage people to be comfortable, but you have to dress down? That doesn't mean anything. To me, I just all I saw was this beach man in front of me. But that was him dressing up for church. What else is he doing wrong? Standing in one spot the whole time. He can't move. The microphone's there and his lectern's there. He hasn't moved in 20, 30 minutes of that sermon. I mean, do you think that was an exciting sermon? But you know what? His matter was good. His matter was good. The content of his sermon was good. But his delivery was very uninspiring. The whole time he didn't move once from there. But that's normal church. At least in Australia. Is that what it's like where you're from? I think a lot of you, that's what it's like. Not all of you, but I think a lot of you. And I know I asked yesterday, hands up who are preachers, and almost all of you put your hands up. Am I right to guess that you've done that before? Say that louder so the camera can hear you. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Now, what we've shown over the last 2 days is a better way. Would you agree? Yes. And you're going to practice a better way in the days to come. And I mentioned yesterday that Jesus was killed because he rebelled. Their version of rebelling, right? Jesus wouldn't have stood behind the lectern. Actually, he didn't. He went up on the mountaintop because the crowds got too big. So he went up on the mountaintop, yeah. So he would have been accused of rebelling for not standing behind the lectern, the pulpit. Really? Is that rebelling? Wow. Well, if that is rebelling, then I'm happy to rebel. Personally. You have to decide what you want to do in your church. I can't tell you. But for me, personally, if that is rebellion, then I'm happy to rebel. But what I think happens is that as soon as you show your congregation a better way, they respond to that and they say, you know what? I really enjoyed that. That was better. We don't normally do that, no. But I like that change. There's always going to be some people who disagree with you, always. You can't make everybody happy. But I think the majority will thank you for making your communication far more interactive. That was Mark. I want to show you another person. I came across this video because an IFW gave it to me. An IFW gave it to me as an example of what he thought was a really good preacher. He said, Jojo, come here. I came over, he said, I've got a video of this preacher. He is the best preacher I have ever heard. He does everything right. He's so good. He came to our country. I'll give you the video. You can use this video when you teach, and you can show people how good he is. I said, really? He's so good. I said, well, give me it. I get it. I put it in my computer. I'm expecting some special things here. I play it. Well, let me play it for you, shall I? And then you can give me your opinion on how you think this person is. Can we hit those lights again? Thank you.
Joanna shows the video.
And enjoy this. Well, wait for it. Let him turn around. Oh, there it is. Now, we're like 35 minutes into this now. 35, 40 minutes. He's still got his hand in his pocket behind that thing. Oh! All right. We put the lights back on, thanks. You know, I enjoy listening to you laugh. And I enjoy listening to you laugh because you're telling me that you're seeing things that you didn't see before, right? That you're noticing things that you didn't notice before. And you're noticing things that are not good, right? You know what? I'm going to do that next time. I think that's what I'll do next time. I learn here too, okay? I think next time when I teach IFWs, I'm going to show that video before I start teaching. I should show it on the Monday, you know, before, and just see the reaction. And then show it again this time on the Tuesday to see the reaction. What do you think he was doing incorrectly? Everything. Takape says everything. If I say that, I'm a bad cop. But when you say that, that's allowed. Okay, what did he not do right? Oh, did you notice it? It was, do you know that's part 1? That's part 1 of his series. He does that for an hour and a half and then another hour and a half. 3 hours. He's got pretty much 3 hours he has his hands in his pocket. Well, you're really noticing things. You know, Dick said his belt's a bit loose. He was doing his, doing the whole, I have to get it together, I have to get comfortable, don't I, yeah? I mean, instead of getting comfortable behind the pulpit so we don't see it all, he was doing, and then did you notice what he was holding? He had his microphone. Now, there was a big congregation. There are hundreds there, so he probably needed that microphone. Yeah, and another one in the pulpit. Is he going to use his hands anymore for expressions? No. Gone. Because he just stopped it all. He loved that hand in the pocket, wouldn't take it out. Oh, sorry, he did take it out. And to lean, and then to point. Yeah, and then he leant. He wouldn't use that hand, would he? And he paced constantly. This is it. Yeah. Turn back. See, you're noticing all these things now. You're noticing them. Kata. He didn't, yes. Thank you.
As far as I know, a person can, you can keep the attention of the people not longer than 45 minutes or 1.5
Kata
minutes.
was saying, because he didn't really have many notes, he was probably talking a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot. And generally speaking, you can only keep somebody's attention for so long until, look, your body needs to move and your mind becomes distracted. You've started to teach us some of method. Well done. Because we're going to bring that up in method. What happens when you don't prepare, when you don't have good notes, you then compensate by keep on talking and talking and talking. Preachers do that the worst. Oh, they can talk. They get so excited, they just start talking. But you can see what this man, he did this for 3 hours. Okay, 3 hours. But this was given to me by an IFW before he was trained as the best preacher that is there. Now, what this gentleman was talking about was good content. okay? But I'm sorry, I will struggle to listen to you for 3 hours, no matter what you say, no matter how good it is. I'm going to struggle to listen to you for 3 hours if all you're doing is walking up and down that stage with your hand in your pocket. I will start to tune out. And really, you're talking about Jesus Christ and you can't express yourself with your body language? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Does that make sense to you, friends? All right. What we're going to do is we're going to have a little break. We're going to have a bit of a morning tea, afternoon tea. Actually, it's afternoon tea time. When we come back, we're going to play a game that helps you better see what I have been talking about here. That's the game where you get to win some quality prizes. Okay? We're going to do some games. We're also going to get you, some of you, to come out and do some demonstration of things. Okay? Going to get you to come out and do some demonstration of things. Then we're also going to cover method. It's the one M that we haven't covered. But because we've covered so much in matter and manner, we can go through method quicker, okay? We will quickly look at this board. I haven't forgotten about it, but we're going to very quickly chop things on and off. We'll do that actually just before we go to break. Have you enjoyed the manner section? Yes. And I think it's fair to say that we've learnt quite a lot in this section. We spent a bit of time on it, but we needed to because it's 90% of your communication style. So it's fair to say that it's the most important, but remember what I said before, the 3 M's are married together. They should never be divorced, okay? They go hand in hand. And as soon as you don't do one of them properly, it will affect your communication. So even though manner seems to be the most important, it needs to be combined with everything else. Because if you have great manner, but what you're saying is of no value, you might as well go away as well, okay? So just as much as manner is important to keep people awake, what you say is equally as important. I actually went to a sermon. It was a whole week clinic of all these different visiting preachers that would come. This particular gentleman, he was extremely funny. He should have been a comedian, not a preacher. Honestly, all of us were laughing. We thought things were so funny. He was supposed to speak for 30 minutes. He went for 1 hour. But you didn't even know because he was so funny. I have no idea if he said anything about God at all. He just kept on telling personal stories and how he took his son somewhere and how funny his son was in the car. And, you know, he was funny. His mannerisms were great. They really were. They were very entertaining. But he didn't say anything of any value to really help me in my growth with God, which was the purpose. So 4 points for manner. Sorry?
Sounds like Jesse Duplantis to me.
A good...
Jesse Duplantis.
Jesse Duplantis. I don't know if it was Jesse Duplantis. I don't think it was, but look, he gets full marks for manner, but he doesn't get full marks for matter. What he needed to get was full marks for matter, full marks for manner, and full marks for method, which we'll learn about when he came back. And one of the things that he didn't do in method was timing. He had no notes and he just kept on going and going and going. He went for an hour, and that's very bad method. In the 5 minutes we have before we go out to lunch, let's revisit our list. Hey, do you want to help me here, Frank? Thank you. And on that black thing there, on the black mark, push this to the black mark. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Now, a good teacher remembers to come back to these things, okay? I said we were going to come back, and you need to remember what you're going to keep on referring back to. We're going to do this quickly, okay? Because we don't want to eat into our break time. We go yes, no, on the points that should be in manner. Yes? Ready? You shout them out to me. Shout them out. Okay, threat. Did I spell that right? No. Threat, Threat, yes, no? No. Nice and loud, friends, so that our videos can hear. Sound? Yes. Hey. Eye contact? Yes. Anger? No. Not anger per se, but how we express anger, okay? So, yes. Laugh? Yes. Laughter, and if we're expressing laughter, yes. Sleeping? Information? Where does that go? Matter, thank you. Responding? Yes-ish, yeah. That, in between, good. Can you see how you're identifying it now? You know where they need to go. And that means you're learning, friends. That means you're better today than you were yesterday. Well done. Because now I'm almost not having to teach you this. You're already learning it yourself. That's what the aim of the whole teaching was. Well done, I'm very impressed. All right, responding, okay, we had a position. Yes. What do you mean by position? Where you're standing? Good. All right, action. Yes. Yeah, okay, hand actions. Attire, what we're dressed in. Kind? Nah, not really, not really. Humble? No. Yes, we need to be humble. Noise? Yeah, like voice, volume, sound, tone. Yes. I don't even know what I've put there. Shouting. Shouting? Yes. Yeah, that's a part of volume and tone. Dancing? Movement, yeah? I'm not saying that you should dance all the time, but it's a part of manner. So if you are somebody that's just always doing this because you're so excited, you do, that's a bit of a dance, and that's manner. And I would say to you, your manner needs improving. Yeah? Okay, good. We put that there. Oh, it was dancing. Okay. Gestures? Yes. Smiling? Yes. Yeah. Facial expressions. Eating? No. Gripping? We don't know what that is. Posture? Yes. Crying? No, we don't want to cry, but if we are crying, I'll probably say that's a problem with the manner. Volume of crying, as long as it's not loud crying, right? Now, we spoke about pronunciation yesterday, and I think we can all meet halfway and say that goes in the middle. Apologetic? No. Lectern? Lectern, pulpit, stand. It's manner. Manner? Clapping? Participation? No. Talking? Sad? It's how we express sad, but not sad per se. Language? Language? No. Language are the words we use. That goes into matter. Voice? Polite? Mannerisms? Yes, because they're gestures. Facial expressions? Sketch? No. What's a sketch? Sketch is drawing. Whisper? Yeah, it's a part of our voice. Polite? No. Straightforward? No. So you see how it's silence? As we all think, probably no. Feeling? I think we've covered more. I think there's enough there to understand that you're starting to understand. Okay? This renovation that we've been doing, it's almost finished. The renovation is almost finished. Well done. Half an hour. I'll see you back here at 3:30. Thanks, team.
The class goes for a break, and when they return, they review material which begins in Lecture 4.